Welcome back to Talk of the Town, coming to you from the Bridge Street studios right here in Nelson. I'm Chris Butler, joined once again by Uniquely Nelson General Manager Simon Duffy.
Nikki,
Morning.
morning.
Oh, there we go.
Morning.
It's my technique, It's only been about 3 years, but, we'll get there. I'm joined today by Emma Henna, who is the proprietor, owner, director. What's your official title here at?
I'm a co-owner of Sublime Coffee. I own it with my husband. Yeah,
And that's Dan, isn't it?
yes.
Yes. And general manager of this wonderful complex and Sublime Coffee Roasters, I should say, Nikki Neate. Nice to have you here, Nikki.
Yeah, morning.
Now, first of all, last time we caught up, Emma, we were on New Street there, and when was that? That would have been over a year ago, wouldn't it?
Yeah, a couple of years.
A couple of years, and life goes on, and I noticed a bit of banging and crashing, and the doors were closed. And what's happening in there? Are they redoing the bar? And boom, Bridge Street Studios, and you guys are involved. So, that's quite a journey. Can you tell us a little bit about how you got to here, basically?
Yeah. Okay, so we were over on New Street. We were there for 6 years, and our lease was coming up to an end, and we were kind of starting to think that maybe Sublime needed a place to call home, that we could put our roots down, and it would become, feel a little more permanent. So we looked, we were wanting to change from leasing to our own building, and Simon and Miko have spent quite a long time refurbing the building next door. Yeah, and they put like their heart and soul into it, and they've done an incredible job, and they were ready to move on. And we talked to them, and we were kind of the lucky people to buy it. Yeah, and so we next door became the new home of Sublime. It was great to come in there, and I guess we just kind of quite quickly rolled into the building next door. Yeah,
Right.
yeah, that's the short story.
So as if
Yeah.
that move, wasn't enough, at what point when you moved in there did you go, oh, next door, why don't we expand into there? How did that come about?
Yeah, that's interesting. That came about quite quickly, because we knew that we weren't going to quite fit next door. So this building here was also for sale. It was in a pretty crazy state. It was, we like to call it an abandoned nightclub.
Right.
Yeah.
What was the nightclub that used to be here? What was it called?
Melba's.
Melba's.
Yeah.
Did you used to come here, Chris?
Oh, I may have been, doing some fancy footwork out the back at some point in my
Apparently
time.
the walls still speak about you.
Well, look, if you go back, a long time ago, it was the Metropolitan Hotel, so I go back that far.
That's 1913.
Yeah, something like that. I
Giddy up,
pulled up
giddy
on
up.
my horse and carriage, and yeah.
I'm not sure if you were around. Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
And it's not just at street level, is it? There's upstairs.
Yep.
Other businesses.
Yep, both buildings have an upstairs. The original building, original Bridge Street Studios, upstairs is there's a kiln studio. Melissa Banks Photography.
Yep.
And then there's a big open studio that has maybe it's about 9 businesses up there.
Yeah.
They're doing all sorts of things, and they
And 10.
Yeah, they're working all sorts of different time zones.
So more
so-
techie side. More
Some techie,
Wow.
but mostly creative.
Yeah.
And they've just either got a desk, or they've got a couple of desks, or they've got there's a guy up there with a whole setup that NMIT students come and learn stuff off him, and it's a really cool buzzy space.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah. And then this building has 2 apartments at the front, which are Airbnb, and a backpackers at the back.
Wow.
Right.
Yeah.
Geez, so you've gone to concentrating on coffee to, well, geez, complex management, and there's all sorts of different businesses in here. So you have to manage a lot, don't you? So, Nikki, you're the general manager. So first of all, for those that don't know, we did do a whole podcast about it a while ago, but it was a while ago. Tell us about Sublime Coffee Roasters and what their main purpose is.
Well, I've come on board relatively recently, but have been a fan of Sublime. My mum's lived in Nelson for a number of years, and coming back from London, where they didn't understand what a flat white was, always had to go to Haven Road. So I think Sublime Coffee Roasters has always been part of the Nelson business community, certainly, but also just a really, particularly the Haven Road, an iconic spot to sort of hang out and meet. And as I've grown, I've now, moved around New Street and now here. One of the cool factors that I didn't even realize, and having, been associated or known about them for so long, is they built their own coffee roaster.
Yeah,
And
I didn't know
that's a
that,
sort of
right.
commitment to the quality and hands-on. I mean, I feel very privileged to be working with Emma and Dan, because just how they care for their team, their product, and it also just expanding, into working with other smaller businesses.
Is that roaster still being used?
No, they're on to their fourth roaster.
Roaster.
Which Dan has done a lot of pimping with as well. So,
Yeah.
tweaking. And I keep saying to him, I need to get the lingo.
That's right.
But there's all the hot air in the. Anyway, I'm not going to go there yet. I'm still learning that side of things.
So is that another side of the business, manufacturing coffee roasters?
It's need-based, I think. Yeah, one at a time.
One at a time. He's not going into a manufacturing, no. So tell us about the distribution of the coffee, locally, but presumably it gets distributed outside the region.
Yeah, I think the cool thing is the opportunity that's available to Sublime. We are very well established in Nelson, Tasman. Plenty of wonderful cafes serve Sublime, even if people don't even realise that's what they're drinking. So, but I think the biggest surprise for me was just how much coffee goes around New Zealand. And in fact, my dad and stepmom live in Whangamata, and our favourite cafe there serves Sublime.
Oh, there you go.
And that was such a treat I said, I love that place. So it was, but we're talking just into people's homes, people ordering it, discovering it and ordering it and taking out a subscription for, really extraordinary good coffee that's consistently good. And that's also easy. You don't have to have, a degree in all the coffee jargon to just know that you're going to have a really good coffee every morning or afternoon or evening.
So
Whatever your
besides
preference.
selling a lot of coffee too, how many businesses are in here? All up, you think 20
I
something?
think there's about 23.
23?
Yeah.
Well, there's 23 coffees for a start.
Times 3.
Yeah.
But what's some of the benefits of being part of this collective, either at street level or upstairs? What do you think
Look,
the benefits of actually?
I think if you even take a step back and look at Nelson Tasman, we're always better together. Always. We're a small region, compared to the rest of New Zealand, and we can be a little bit isolated. And so we're always going to be better together. And look, my motto for as long as I can remember is collaboration over competition, because we're so much better together. And it just, I think, witnessing the open day when we had 20 small businesses, which was a couple of weeks ago, all going out and talking to their audience, letting them know that we're on. We were packed.
Yeah. It's through that strength, it's through that unity you had that strength collectively.
Yeah, absolutely. Because, Cafe by itself, one thing, but there's lots of little nooks and crannies to discover as well. They can come and have a brilliant coffee and have a wander around and discover something new. Didn't even know that existed in the CBD. Yeah.
It's brilliant.
So, Emma, we've New Street gone, you've moved here now, but Nelson Airport still going, is that right?
Yeah.
Can you update us on the venues, put it this way, your locations?
Okay. Yep. Sublime's still at the Gateway of Nelson. Dan and I have recently sold that to Ferdinand and Maria. Yeah.
Okay, so they'll run it as an enterprise, but
Yep.
you'll still supply the goods.
Sure do.
Oh,
Yep.
nice.
And Ferdinand's an incredible barista. So he enters competitions, and I think he's very well known for his unicorns.
Yes.
Yeah.
We get loads of Instagram stories of unicorns of coffees from the airport.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. So they're coffee passionate.
They do exist.
Yeah. Haven Road is trucking along. It's still part of many Nelsonians' day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we still have to go there every Saturday morning.
Yeah, nice. Thanks.
Even if we're going the opposite direction.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm not going anywhere else. So okay, you know.
You too.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right. Oh, fantastic. And then this. But what I'm interested in is the fact that your core business is the coffee, but then you come to a complex where you have to manage up to 23 businesses. So is that kind of where you come in, Nikki, or how does that work?
I think for the open day, we organised everyone to work together for that, but my hat is firmly Sublime. So I'm
Okay,
looking at
right.
what are the growing opportunities for
Okay.
Sublime.
So someone has to manage the tenants, is that right?
Yeah, yes, and Sublime is a tenant as well. So
Right,
yeah,
gotcha.
yeah.
Yeah.
So we kind of anchor the building, anchor the group, I guess, and but we just all work alongside each other.
Yeah, right.
It's a community.
Yeah, right. Very
Yeah.
nice. Yeah, I must admit, when I walked in here, it was a total shock because I haven't been in here before, and I just went, "Wow, okay, maybe Nelson's finally arrived." My first impression was, is it London? Is it Melbourne? Is it
Yeah.
Wellington?
But it's cool because it's Nelson.
It's Nelson.
Yeah.
And we've all talked about it, haven't we? We've talked about Christchurch and Riverside, and we've talked about, geez, wouldn't it be great to have something like this in Nelson? And isn't it interesting how when people have, worked and lived overseas and the influences that come back, and maybe finally we get the message that we can do it right here in little old Nelson.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Nelson was ready for a place like this. Yeah, I think community drives community. So this is sort of many little small communities together, making a much bigger voice together.
And Simon, we've talked about that, haven't we? Because when we're talking about city redevelopment, we just said someone has to make a move at some point, and once they make that move, it gives the confidence to others.
Yeah, it was very much how we had Lauren from Christchurch NZ at our AGM 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And she talked about two things, and there's partnering with a large media group to get the messaging out there. Another one was setting up precincts around Christchurch. And I was down there 6-7 weeks ago, and you could see the stage they've got to. And what was interesting, and part of that AGM, she explained, it's at the Sarah Art Gallery, it's a full house that night, because she was there, and the way we pitched it to our businesses, turn up and listen. And one thing she said was when they started the developments, obviously for the city, very similar to what we've got here in Bridge Street and what's going on with Morrison Square, there's lots of cones around at the moment, is they surveyed the heartbeat of the businesses, and it was all pretty negative. Then about halfway through that development, they asked the same question, and they were like, it feels better, but we'll just wait and see. Then the third survey, after most of the inner city was completed, was, we're proud, this is our city.
Yeah.
And I think that's what you're doing here, Morrison Square, and the Bridge Street development will benchmark, and part of that benchmark you guys are part of.
Look, I
It's
think
just setting it.
the reality is Hospo has changed and retail has changed almost beyond belief. And sometimes you do have to take an honest look at yourself and going, am I still offering a service that customers want? And if you're not, then what can I do to be better, or to offer a service? Yeah, to adapt. And I think that's, we're all here to get people into the Nelson CBD. That's all of our jobs. And it doesn't have to be, it can be done on a small scale. And, obviously we're dealing with the whole Bridge Street, and we know that at the end of the end of time, it's going to be a beautiful thoroughfare. But, people still want to come in. If you're coming into town, you want to go all around town. So how do we get people in? And I was talking to Emma, Rockbox have got that beautiful floral display sort of creeping around their shop. And it's little things like, it doesn't have to be big developments like this. It's just getting creative. And, one thing that I'm really keen on is doing some business buddies where we team up with, Sublime teams up with another business across the other side of town, and we proactively support each other and drive people into each other's shops and stores and having coffee here and there. And, you know, we're one great coffee roaster here, but there's also others, and there's other cafes. And, you know, if we've got everyone in town, we're bringing people into town for reasons, it's all going to be beneficial for everyone.
So, and on the scale too, where you've got the collective and the space is more affordable, you know, to lease. And yes, there is a retail presence, and I think that's important because when people are wandering around a city, they're coming here to view and look and explore, aren't they? So I think that physical part is still really important.
Oh, definitely.
But
These are also the
yes,
offices.
yes, that's right, and
So it's a combined space.
that's right. And I thought, you know, most of them you would presume would also be online as well. So, you know, they're really using it as an office space, a retail space, and a place to do their online as well. It just makes it more accessible, doesn't it?
Correct. I mean, Terry's a great case in point. He exports most of his honey out of New Zealand. That's
Yeah,
where
right,
most of his business is. But you can also pop in and have a chat to him, and he'll tell you all about his beekeepers. It's all honey from the South Island. You can taste some bits and purchase. So yeah.
Yeah.
That's that thing we talk about quite a bit. Like you said before, Nikki, the retail changed, or business, in a CBD business, what was 10, 20, 30 years ago, is how do you put the experiential back into those spaces, whether it be hospitality or retail. And this is experiential.
Yeah.
You know, you're not just coming in buying something. You actually, he's got a story to tell.
Yeah.
He's been on a journey.
Yeah.
As you say, I didn't know he exported overseas. But all those sorts of, that's part of that. How do you put the experiential back into a CBD, not just retail?
No. It is CBD. Yeah.
I was thinking about Grand Designs. It often comes onto our TV.
You guys have talked about it already.
But you know, often they whack off the plaster or the jib, and they find, you know, this beautiful brick. And one of the features throughout the studios is you know, the original building itself, and you've kept some of that, or exposed some of that, you should say.
Yeah.
Did you find anything special?
Yeah.
No bags of cash. We were hoping.
No.
Yeah, no diamonds. No. No, but no, it was we had a great team. We worked with DWB Builders, and it's taken a year for this building to get this building ready to open. But there were lots of surprises along the way. We found all sorts of things. We found a cellar.
Oh wow!
Yeah, a forgotten cellar, and kind of had to cut into the lino and get down into that. That was fun. It was a fun day.
Yeah,
it's a little bit spooky.
But spooky.
Yeah,
That's right.
Where is it?
It's down the back of the building. Yeah, I think it's where they used to store the beer.
Yeah, right.
In the old Met days.
So I remember the first week we were actually housed in the front. They're sitting in the front, and a guy came in. Remember, he'd hadn't been back to Nelson for 30 years. Grew up here. His parents owned this as the hotel, and he was on his way down to Dunedin to drop his son off at university, and he just said, "Oh my, that used to be the dining room, and that I used to have to go down to the cellar and wash out all the flagon bottles."
Oh,
and
that's that.
so it's people have the influx of people just coming back and reliving little moments. There's got to be something that we've got to capture that sort of history.
Yeah,
and the whole design of it, you know, it's you know, it just feels right now. You haven't had to bring the brick in, haven't you? It's all there. And you know, the furniture that you've used, you know, it's what do they call it? Upscaled or upcycled. But it just now that's the fashion, isn't it? It really fits the part. And especially with I remember the beams when they built the nightclub, you know, and those. Well, I don't know, maybe those beams were already there, but I remember when Molly Maguire's was. Oh no, this is Malba's, wasn't it? But those beams were in Molly Maguire's as well. Yeah.
They built the building next door.
Yes,
which was Molly's. Was built from a bridge that was brought up from down the coast.
That's right.
Yeah. So those beams were part of that bridge.
Yeah.
The OG bridge of Bridge Street.
Yeah.
I've been trying to coin that.
Yeah.
It's official now.
I think one of the businesses there was called the Bridge.
Oh,
yeah. So some people will remember it as that.
And actually, because next door, the cool thing was those businesses, until Sublime moved in, it was sort of appointment to view. It wasn't a public space. And so with Sublime going in at the front and roasting, it has sort of opened that space up next door just as much as what's been done
Yeah,
here.
and on a daily basis, you probably, some of us might have, but not all of us would have been coming into the bar during the day all the time. Maybe it's the odd visit one night, probably every weekend for the youngsters. But now it's kind of, you can wander in and look around and
Even
yeah.
we've been recording, 3, 4
Yes, that's right.
people have just come in, wandered, looking around. So I think that the doors are open. It's an invitation to come in. Don't be shy.
Yep.
So there's people obviously had to get up Bridge Street to get here.
Yeah.
So with the roadworks in the last 6 months, and we're heading into winter and they're kicking back off again after a bit of a break during summer, what do you think with the Bridge to Better and the development and yourselves being in this space? Tell us a bit about that.
Well, so far, I would say from a communications point of view, we've been completely kept up to date with what's going on. We know it's going to be better. We know it's going to be harder before it gets better.
Yep.
So I think it's just our job of, certainly from a Sublime point of view, of having that warm, unhurried experience in there that people can pop in. We've got our staff who are friendly and chatty, and if you want to know more about the coffee, or if you want to just sit there and do a bit of work, the space is there.
Yeah.
We're open for, I think for all of us, we're open for business. So yeah,
I think the message very much is that businesses are open on Bridge Street.
Yep.
Yeah, there's roadworks. Some days it probably is a little challenging to find a park, but everyone's open. Come down. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. When it first kicked off, I don't know, I expected 1.8 metre fences and things. And besides the cars not being able to park here, and you've got three of the largest car parks on top of the South Island, 1, 2, 3, it's still very visual as far as whether you're on one side of the street or the other, being able to see in. You just couldn't park a car out front.
Yeah.
And I think that's a bit of thing when Nelsonians, we've got to park our car out front, otherwise I'm not coming to town. We need to move on from
Well, you got to carry those, big bags of coffee beans home.
Yeah.
So
bloody Sublime again.
I think for some people that it's challenging, but the majority of people, a little walk is beneficial.
Yeah.
And you might discover some other shops or stores that you didn't know. I think particularly down our end of Bridge Street, I've been here 12 years, and when we first landed in Nelson, this was a part of Bridge Street. You did not come. It was too old to be associated with this. So I think, the impact has really changed this end of Bridge Street.
change the dynamic a bit.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
So it is a welcoming spot. But
And maybe the culture's changed a little bit. I mean, when you do go out now, it might be more of a drink dine experience. I mean, people yes, you can go out for a dance somewhere, but it's not always about just going to a bar like in the 80s, is it? It's a different setup these days, isn't it?
Yeah.
The youth are a bit more sophisticated than we were perhaps in our day.
Didn't take much. But that has changed.
Yeah, well, that's my perception anyway. I could be wrong.
Yeah.
Further, Kirby Lane was probably the first big change, the Bridge Street Collective, Invictus, and then just slowly this has, this has morphed, Bridge Street has morphed. And more people do walk between Trafalgar and Collingwood.
Yeah.
You've got reason to.
Okay. And talk about timing. So, you set this up while this was all happening. So you've set the foundation, and the hope obviously is when when the project gets finished, then it's going to look pretty dynamic, isn't it? The streetscape and what you've got here.
Bridge Street's going to be a really cool place to hang out.
Yeah.
It already is, and it's just going to get better.
Yeah. So
I was going to ask, so what's next on the horizon? And I'm thinking, well, you've only done this in the last 5 minutes, but do you have any bigger plans, or up, sideways, anything? What's next?
up or sideways?
Yeah.
Who's next door?
I think
Watch out. Yeah.
Down his beards goes.
I think 2024, Dan and I talked a lot about projects. What's the next project? And so we bought Next Door in December 24, and Dan and I bought that, and then we bought this one with Chris and Dan Henna and Ra and Nancy Vincent in March 25. Yeah, and then it was like full noise for like 12 months. And so we're not really talking about the word project at the moment.
We're breathing.
Yeah.
It's all right.
But give us a couple of months. And
Well,
we'll-
I'll give you 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And,
Come back and
Yeah.
check in. Yeah.
this is great.
Maybe a weekend off would be good. Yeah.
So, you know, with the economic pressures, bright future, you can see yourselves consolidating and growing, or is that the challenge?
Look, certainly the challenges are very real, without a doubt. You'd be lying to say it's not, but my I'm very optimistic, and I think good products always stand head and shoulders above. Good service always stands head and shoulders above. And people, you know, when they're looking at what's in their wallet and they're looking to what they're going to spend their money on, you would hope that they would pick reliable, consistently good quality products that are local. And I mean local in the broadest sense of the word. You know, it can be, you know, clearly coffee isn't grown in Nelson, but it's roasted here under the watchful eye of our team. You know, it's still batch roasted, hands-on. And so that's where I think that's the consideration people have to be weighing up is, you know, they've only got so much money in their pocket. So maybe buy less, but buy better.
And
And
supporting
that's,
local.
yeah. And we don't take that for granted. I guess that's the other thing. If you're spending $1 with us, we're never going to take that for granted.
Very good. All right. Well, look, Emma and Nikki, we really appreciate your time. What a venue. I mean, it blew me away when I walked in, and if you haven't had a chance to pop in, you've got to come and see it. You know, it just looks fantastic. Some fantastic businesses in here. I haven't even been next door, so I'll have to pop my nose in there and have a look as well. As you point out, it's totally changed the dynamic of this end, and you know, so that's really positive. And with Bridge Street hopefully not too far away, then it's gonna look really amazing. So we really appreciate your time, and we wish you all the best for the future.
One quick question. You know the businesses upstairs, is that more you got to make an appointment to see them? Or you know you can wander through here. Can you do the same upstairs? Or is it more you...
With Kiln you can, but with the apartments, they are rentals. So yeah.
Apartments, yeah.
Yeah.
You mean the big shed office next door? You can have a go. I'm sure they're really nice
They
people.
might let you in.
Yeah.
You should pop up and say hello.
Yeah. But to be fair, they're more business to business. So it's not so the consumer facing ones are, you know, have the shop windows. They're more B2B. And like I said earlier, some of them they're working from an international operation, and they've just got, you know, this is the Nelson or the New Zealand set up for them here. They're doing their own thing. There's gamers, there's web designers, there's photographers. It's a great mix.
Exciting stuff.
Yeah, fantastic. Thank you very much. Thanks once again, Simon.
Yeah.
That's it for now, and we'll see you again shortly for another edition of Talk of the Town.
Thank you.